Hello, this is Mark Wildman of Wildman Athletica, and today we are going to talk about the 8 key components of structure. The way that I learned this was the 7 key components of structure, and I make it 8, and we will talk about that when we get to it. The key components of structure are a way to analyze movement. Doesn't matter what the movement is, it is a way for you to analyze it, understand it, and then write programs for something. This is a coaching diagnostic tool. Step 1, grip confirmation. That means, are people's hands working all the way? It seems like a weird thing, but it is something that is super true. We talk about this a lot, making fists and holding on to things on this channel. The grip is the thing that defines humans and human civilization. Holding on to tools allows us to build civilization through the use of hammers, shovels, axes, levers. People think that their hands work until they start training, and then they figure out very quickly that their hands do not work as well as they think. And you can see that if you see somebody holding on to something and you see this knuckle sticking out, that means that their grip is not all the way confirmed. You would like flat knuckles. We'll talk about this more in other videos. Elbow position. Elbow position is key in the world of club swinging. If your elbow is off of your body, then your elbow is not in the right position. Also, we have overhead elbow lock. Elbow position is one of the things you look at to analyze. After that, shoulder pack. Are people's lats firing and their shoulders being supported by their lat or by their pec, depending on which movement it is. Next up, crown to coccyx alignment. From the crown of your head to the coccyx of your tailbone, is it in the correct alignment for the sport that you need to do? Core engagement, you'll hear this cue from me all the time. The cue that we use often in kettlebells is drive your rib cage down to engage your abs to breathe behind the shield. There are different types of core engagement for different sports, of course. Hip snap is something you hear all the time in the world of kettlebells and clubs. Standing all the way up and completing the movement of your hips. Squeezing your glutes at the top of every movement, otherwise your hip snap has not been completed. Leg drive, pulling your kneecap up and driving your heel into the ground. And the last one, which is my addition to this whole thing, is foot position. Foot position is pretty key in almost every sport that I've ever learned, whether it be martial arts or aerial or club swinging or kettlebell swinging. How you position your foot is a pretty big deal. You will see some people and they have one foot turned out and one foot pointed straight ahead. That's a problem, and that is something that we can cue. So think of these 8 key components of structure as a diagnostic tool to analyze absolutely everything. You will hear me constantly talk about these 8 things in all the videos I make about all the techniques we do. You can normally look at an athlete who's training and look at these things in series and analyze what they could improve or what types of drills you could incorporate into their training in order to help them improve. Grip is the one that we see the most in heavy club swinging. People in the modern world do not have much grip engagement because we don't use tools as often or as frequently as people did 100 years ago or 5,000 years ago. If your elbow's not in the right spot, it tends to be hard to have shoulder pack. If you don't have shoulder pack, then you tend to get shoulder injuries. Crown to coccyx alignment, people crane their neck and do all kinds of weird things with their spine when they're under load. That's a pretty big problem that we always want to watch. Core engagement, if people try to lift something heavy and their rib cage is lifted, then their lower back tends to hurt. If people don't squeeze their glutes when they're lifting heavy objects, then their back tends to hurt. If you are missing core engagement and hip snap, then the stress goes to the lowest part of the back. You will hear people who do physical labor for a living complain about back pain a lot, and that's because core engagement and hip snap has been muted by sitting down and traveling to work in trucks and everything else. Leg drive is simply straightening your leg out all the way. Once again, something that people lose the ability to do on command if they have something like an office job. They don't straighten their legs all the way. And foot position is the thing that I'm always harping on. People try to turn out or do different types of foot positions based on their sports. Ballerinas turn out. If you're not a ballerina, probably don't turn out. You should point your feet generally straight ahead, but some martial arts actually intentionally pigeon toe for reasons specific to their martial art. Foot position is also something you talk about in like aerial circus arts. Foot point, which angle your foot is pointed at is, you know, pretty big deal to aesthetic lines and various types of performance arts. And foot position can also include weight in the heels, midfoot, or toe. So think of this as an introduction to this concept. You should know this stuff if you work out. You should definitely know this if you're a coach of any type. It doesn't matter what type of physical thing you coach, whether it be dance, martial arts, wrestling, weight swinging, or weightlifting. These things are pretty key to being a good coach. So write them down, think about it, and we're going to continue to talk about them in a bunch of different videos.